Hi guys, it's a truly sad state of affairs when the most humane individual in an interview is Talk TV's right-wing commentator Julia Hartley-Brewer. But even she didn't think it was right to let people drown in the sea. Well, she was shocked to discover that's exactly what Reform UK's deputy leader and recent by-election candidate Ben Habib thinks. Ben in this interview was asked a number of times what Border Force should do when it encounters people in the sea, and he kept saying they need to act like a force. When asked if he thought people should be left to drown, his response was pretty shocking, even for Reform UK.
You know as well as I do, anybody who has ever been on a boat will know that the rules of the sea are very clear. You have to save life where you can save life, and that is what the
only if
Border
it's
Force
reasonable to do so.
Well, it will be reasonable to do so because there'll be people
no,
drowning.
I don't think it's reasonable.
Are you genuinely saying the Reform UK policy
Julia,
is we will let people drown to make a point? Because I think that's what you're saying there.
Julia, if someone comes, let's not infantilize these people. They have free will. They were safe in France. They paid good money to get on a boat seeking illegally to come. So I'm not going to infantilize them, and I'm not going to be held to ransom by their claim that they deserve protection as soon as they get into our
I agree with all of that.
waters.
At the point when they use the tactic of jumping into the sea and they're drowning, are you saying that British Border Force and the British Navy will be instructed not to rescue those people from drowning?
No, you didn't hear me. I said that we could, as an idea, provide them with another dinghy into which to climb and then go back to France. And if they choose to scupper that dinghy, then yes, they have to suffer the consequences of their actions.
Then you would leave them to drown?
They cannot, absolutely, they cannot be infantilized to the point that
I have
we
no doubt, Ben, that is a policy
fortune.
that would work quite well. However, that is not a policy that a civilised country should endorse.
Why is that uncivilised, Julia?
Because we don't leave people to drown, because we're civilised human beings. I don't want these people here. I don't think they should be infantilised either. But I wouldn't leave someone to drown. No, I wouldn't. I don't think there's anyone in Border Force or the Royal Navy who would do that.
Well, I'm afraid border force means using force at the border. If we're not prepared to use force at the border, we will have open borders. And the presumption of your question goes to the heart of the problem in the United Kingdom. We don't protect our borders because we don't have the political will or courage to do so.
I agree with you on that.
Border control is a physical process. It's not a legal one.
But you have to collect them from the water and then remove them back to France, whether the French like it or not. I could understand that as a policy. You can have 5 dinghies
and they can go, or you give them a boat which they can't splash again, or you give them lifesavers and you tell them to swim back into whatever. You can have any number of options to deal with the problem. What you don't do is give into the blackmail, effectively, of we are here, we're going to self-harm ourselves unless you take us to British shores. You don't give into that.
My God, these people are psychopaths. These people are psychopaths. She asked him very clearly, would you leave them to drown? And his response was absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I've encountered these comments before, but generally they're in the comment section on a Facebook page, where somebody has written or posted a story about people drowning in the Channel. And you read these comments below, oh, let them drown in the sea. You find it on other Facebook or social media outlets, on YouTube sometimes as well. Now, I honestly believe that this was not mainstream discourse. I honestly believe that these were limited to trolls and very sick individuals online, maybe trying to get a name for themselves, trying to grab some attention. But this has become mainstream in the sense that you have a political party who's running for high office. Whether they win seats or not is neither here nor there. But you have a political party who, unfortunately, the Conservatives are pandering to on a daily basis, suggesting that if they were in charge, they would instruct the Royal Navy and Border Force to leave people to drown in the sea. Just let that marinate in your mind for a moment. Ben Habib will not be Prime Minister, but can you imagine if he was Prime Minister? Can you imagine if he was made Home Secretary? His policy would be to instruct. He said it himself. He believes that they should be allowed to drown in the sea. He was asked that question. would you leave them to drown in the sea? And he said, absolutely. So his policy would be to let them drown. He would be instructing the government, the civil service, border force, the Royal Navy to refuse to rescue people. Throw them another dinghy. If they don't like that, well, let them drown. Throw them some life preservers. If they refuse that, let them drown. Under no circumstances should you take them on board and take them to Britain. I don't know where else to go with this, because, as I said, these are the sort of comments you read from psychopaths online. You don't expect a candidate who wants to become a member of Parliament to come up with this sort of stuff. We've heard some horrible stuff from Tory MPs in the past, but I don't think anyone, even Sir Edward Lee, has suggested that, well, people should be just left to drown in the sea. They say, well, take them out and take them back to France. Take them out and, detain them. Take them out, put them in prison. But I've yet to hear a Tory MP say we should just let them drown in the sea. That'll teach them a lesson. What is the vetting process in Reform UK? Is there a vetting process? What's going to happen following these comments? Is he going to be booted out? Or is he just going to be encouraged? I know they're scraping the bottom of the barrel. They're desperate for the lowest common denominator in politics. The worst of the worst type of voter. Is this who they're pandering to? Or does Ben Habib truly believe this? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.